सेव किया था ना?
मैं सिर्फ इसलिए गया था क्योंकि उसने मुझे कॉल किया, that's it. But listen तो.
Save it for someone else.
जिंदगी में सेव करना जरूरी है, मगर जब बात पैसों की हो, सिर्फ सेविंग से काम नहीं चलेगा। इक्विटी म्यूचुअल फंड्स में इन्वेस्ट कीजिए और अपने सेविंग्स को आगे बढ़ने का मौका दीजिए।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
Israel has been poised for a ground invasion of Gaza for several days now, a very angry Israel. In national interest this week, therefore, we debate the question, is it a wise thing to use just the military to settle your problems, and can military achieve all your political and strategic objectives, and what is it that we know from experience? Before we get into a debate, however, it's my periodic reminder to you that the quality of journalism we do, the depth, the reach, the fact that we have reporters traveling all across the country and sometimes overseas, it's all possible because many good people like you take paid subscriptions. So if you have taken a paid subscription already, then please renew it, top it up. If you haven't taken one, I know many of you have taken it, but yet several tens of times more than those watch us, read us regularly, and it would help if you also take paid subscriptions, because without that, unhyphenated journalism like ours cannot survive. So please go ahead and do it. And as I'm speaking with you, you see instructions on our screen, on your screen, taking you through the steps. Back to national interest now. If we ask a question like, how important are the armies to building and projecting a nation's power, we would be laughed out as idiots. I have no intention of going there. I don't want to be called an idiot. That the military is central to a nation's gross national power is beyond any doubt. Unless, of course, you are still an idealistic and uncorrupted teenager at your school's model UN debate. That's why defense budgets are going up for all major nations. Even Japan has dumped its pacifism and released a comprehensive military upgrade plan to double its defense budget by 2027. If we, however, posit this question differently, a debate is possible. Critical and essential though the armies are for overall power, can they achieve their nation's political and strategic objectives by themselves? Our answer won't be an unequivocal yes. In fact, we'll be raising doubts, but that would be the impression if you're watching and reading much of the debate in the country, especially on our TV channels that seem to be raring for the invasion. The logic is, Israel has among the world's best armies, definitely the best army in the Middle East. Intelligence, and once these are unleashed, Hamas will be history. That's the logic. Here is a spoiler. If military power is all it would take to finish the menace of an awful terrorist organization like Hamas, how come 5 Israeli wars in Gaza since 2003 have failed to do so? And where did ISIS come from? ISIS came because Americans thought they crushed Al-Qaeda, but Al-Qaeda then morphed into ISIS. And then you crushed ISIS in between Syria, Iraq, etc. But ISIS has now metastasized like a really bad cancerous tumor. If quick military invasion is all that was needed to finish Hamas, how come the Israelis still haven't done so? Are they hedging, hesitant, or regrouping after the first flush of anger has passed? Israel's own experience shows better than any other nation's besides the US's that relying on military power, however overwhelming it might be, is a very dodgy approach to a larger political and strategic objective. It mostly guarantees failure, not success. Specifically for Israel, its armies have played a critical role in protecting the country, but it had to make an expensive peace deal with the Egyptians, returning all territories captured in the War of 1967, the famous Six-Day War. All its other enemies, including the non-state actors such as Hamas and Hezbollah, are still in the ring for a fight and on their feet. History of the past 8 decades, post-World War II, teaches us that a pure military approach is almost always guaranteed to fail. There might be a couple of exceptions here and there, like India in 1971 and Britain in the Falklands War, but those are also qualified by other important factors. India in 1971 was helped along by the fact that the people of Bangladesh, or what was then East Pakistan, were also fighting, and they did not want the Pakistani army to stay there, and Pakistani army's stay there became untenable. And Falklands War was a territory over an island which was far away, and Argentina was a much smaller power than Britain. That's why I said that even those military victories are qualified by other important factors. On the record, though, Israeli leaders, especially Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, have spoken repeatedly of destroying Hamas with a finality. For that to happen, it is presumed and widely accepted that a ground invasion is absolutely necessary. Since the atrocity of 7th October, the only question over the ground invasion has been when, the why and how, and to what end have mostly been missing from the debate. Of course, there are two clear sides to the larger question for the Israelis/Jews and for Hamas/Palestinians. A ground invasion is taken as an inevitability by both. Never mind the caution that the US President Joe Biden sounded on his way out of Israel. He said, learn from our mistakes, don't act in anger as America did after 9/11. Those who believe that Netanyahu is absolutely committed to the idea of the invasion think that he is only waiting for the new equipment from the US to be in place and its Western allies, Israel's Western allies, to build up strength in the Mediterranean to deter Iran and its proxies. Either way, since he has some breathing and thinking room now, a bit of rethink might not be out of place. It is possible that the conclusion will still finally be to go inside. But there is no harm doing a bit more wargaming and also a bit of history gazing. Because while almost nobody since 1945 in the whole world has achieved his primary national objective through military means, many have ended up suffering unlikely defeats and enfeebling themselves in the course of time. Think Soviet Union in Afghanistan, that actually hastened or maybe caused the breakup of the Soviet Union. America in Afghanistan and in Iraq. And before that, Vietnam and Korea, America and Vietnam and Korea. Similarly, the French military power lost all of Africa. Now we watch a retreat of the remains of the French power from several countries in Africa as the new juntas, backed by the Chinese and Russian proxies, take over, Niger only being the most prominent recent example. The remarkable success of Israel's military lies in the fact that Israel exists, or a tiny strip of nation between, quote-unquote, river and the sea would have been overrun many times over. As for what the military has added territorially, questions remain. The annexation of Golan Heights may look somewhat more widely accepted now, but serious questions will always remain on the West Bank territories. Again, whatever the outcome of an invasion in Gaza, the global clamor for a two-state solution and independent Palestine will only get stronger. This will include Israel's closest friends from the US to India. Europe has traditionally had even stronger views on this. The Chinese have taken a stronger position now, an even stronger position now, especially with their deepening relationship with Iran and Russia. Israel's latest and most critical friends in the region, the UAE, Saudi Arabia and Bahrain, will also double up for the Palestinian cause, for the Palestinian state, even as they go the extra mile to preserve and protect Israel. You want to see the complexity of the region and the situation? Check out how history was made when the Saudis used top-of-the-line US-supplied anti-missile systems to shoot down a Houthi missile from Yemen en route to Israel. Saudis will continue to be the latest and good friends of Israel because they see their strategic interests always run contrary to Iran's and aligned with the US and by implication with Israel. But they will not run against overwhelming Arab and Muslim opinion on Palestine. Last 8 decades have repeatedly underlined the futility of settling any chronic issues by purely military means. If that was possible, India would by now have finished the Kashmir problem. Things in Kashmir might look a lot better than before, but that's not just because of the military, but that's because a lot of political action took place and also because diplomatically, India deepened its relationship with the biggest powers of the day. and with Pakistan's supporters in the Middle East. So all of that has contributed to the relative quiet that we see in Kashmir now. It wasn't just done by the military, and it cannot be done just by the military. In fact, the military itself will tell you repeatedly that ultimate solution has to be political. Military shock and awe works initially, but the effect is a bit like that of a steroid therapy. It puts down the problem in the immediate term, gives you a bit of relief and time where you can use other methods. It gives you a bit of relief for now and satisfies the urge for revenge. The problem within festers unless you are able to quickly deploy political and diplomatic methods to exploit this break. Problem within will fester. It may even get stronger like a germ under steroid therapy. Israelis know it better than any other country. In a war, one side may win every battle, as the Americans did in Afghanistan and Iran. But in the absence of diplomacy, politics, compromise and give and take going hand in hand, the final result is defeat. Israel's challenge is complicated by the fact that they do not face a hostile sovereign power at this point. Whatever the Iranians may do behind the scenes, they are not about to participate directly in this war. Gaza itself is really a little urban sprawl. Think of it as a territory the size of Greater Noida on the outskirts of Delhi, or about 1.5 times the size of Noida. It is merely 351 square kilometers, 41 kilometers long and between 5 and 12 kilometers wide. You can unleash the strongest military in the Middle East and declare victory very soon. But there will be costs. As any practitioner of urban warfare will tell you, what modern armies call fibua or fighting in built-up areas, cities suck in and trap troops and give a determined defender as much advantage as high ground in the mountains. In fact, even more. Because high grounds, at least you can use artillery, air power, etc., helicopters, not in a built-up area, unless you flatten all of it. Does Israel want to risk that? Along with civilian casualties, destruction and global censure, it may kill all of Hamas's current leaders, at least those that are there in Gaza. The key leaders, many key leaders are sitting safely in Qatar. But even if it kills all of Hamas's leaders who now live in Gaza and most of its manpower, but this supremely evil idea and ideology won't just survive, it will actually return stronger. Would Israel be better off fighting a more patient Israel-like long war using its legendary intelligence, targeted attacks, targeting terrorist leaders and avoiding its own casualties as well as international opprobrium? This delayed ground invasion is Netanyahu's moment to do a little bit of rethink.